Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. Today we're taking a look at something a little different than my normal content. If you're familiar with this channel, you know that I like to find old weird electronics, radio stuff, satellite stuff. I go to a lot of surplus sales, auctions, and do some dumpster diving. And I come across some interesting non-electronic stuff sometimes. For example, today I've got this Apache Rescue Gun. This is a flare gun and self-defense device sold in the 1960s and made by a company right here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, I don't do a lot of gun-type topics on this channel because YouTube does not really like the G word, and monetization is tricky if you have anything that is or resembles a firearm. Now, this is not a firearm. This is a flare gun. This is a safety and rescue tool. It is not intended to be a weapon, although it is intended for self-defense. Now, that is kind of a gray area, probably both with YouTube, and then it was a gray area when this was manufactured and later on, which we'll talk about in a minute. So let's just take a look at this thing. It is made of Bakelite plastic, and you'll notice it's got this interesting swirly pattern. They definitely molded this with black plastic with some white mixed in just to make it look cool. This was early 1960s plastic, so they were still experimenting with plastic molding technology. And there are definitely some flaws in it. There are some spots here and there in the mold where the plastic didn't quite come out right. The way this works, it essentially has a spring-loaded firing pin in here, and instead of a barrel, this would have a screw-in cartridge, such as this one is a white signal flare. So this threads into the barrel of the launcher, has a half cock pulled back kind of one stop here, and pulling the trigger releases that. Now it has full cock pulled all the way back. There's a primer in here, basically just a small pistol primer, and I'm noticing there's several sizes. So this has a very tiny primer. This one has something a little closer to a rifle or shotgun primer. And then the rest of the flare cartridge is going to be a little bit of a lifting charge, so some kind of powder. And then there will be like a compressed pellet of magnesium with some colorant added. The construction on this is very basic. It's essentially two pieces of plastic, and they're kind of unevenly molded, so the mold line is offset here from the center. It's riveted together, so you can't really take it apart to do any cleaning or maintenance. Possibly pry this off if you did want to do some maintenance or work on the spring, although I'm not going to do that. It has these molded in kind of sights, although those are extremely basic sights, basically just two pegs. The trigger here is a piece of, I believe, aluminum, and there's no magazine well, there's nothing else really here. This whole bottom piece is just a grip. It doesn't even get used for storage. If they put a little more thought into this, they definitely could have put a storage compartment here in the bottom, and you could put a couple flares or cartridges in there, but the company didn't think that far ahead, I guess. It's stamped Apache Rescue Gun on the side, and then there's a little logo, Apache logo back here. And on this side it just says patent pending, made in USA. I was hoping to look up a patent on this and find out more information about it, but I wasn't able to find anything immediately on the US patent website. Mine also came with a green signal flare and two unmarked cartridges here, unfired but no markings on them. Now it also came with tear gas cartridges. So these two little ones are tear gas, and this is where the self-defense aspect of this comes in. This was designed not only to shoot signal flares from a boat or aircraft accident or some other survival situation, but also in case you were being attacked by a human, by a dog, by a wild animal, you could fire tear gas at them, theoretically dissuade your attacker. And this was apparently kind of a thing in the first half of the 20th century. There were all kinds of tear gas projectors, tear gas guns, little launchers, and firing devices of all sorts of form factors. Not just gun-shaped ones like this, but you could get little pens, you could get various gadgets that would fire tear gas. And this company sold not just flares and tear gas, but a whole variety of products for this thing. In fact, we have the original warranty registration card here, and you can see just the wide range of screw-in cartridges that they sold. Tear gas, perfume. You could, I guess, perfume yourself with this. I don't think I'd want to.
That's why I invented this revolutionary makeup gun. It's for the woman who only has 4/5 of a second to get ready.
Flare, of course. Beast Away, which I think was a slightly different type of tear gas or irritant cartridge. Aerial bomb. I have looked at something like the aerial bomb before. They actually still sell what's called a bird bomb for scaring birds off of crops. We have insecticides, so I guess if you have a particularly nasty bug in the corner, deodorizer, fire extinguisher, rodent. I'm not sure if this was a poison gas or if this was some kind of small shot that you would fire. I found this vintage advertisement that shows off some of the cartridge options for this thing, and it might just be the most American product ever made. I mean, this is a device that promises to deal with almost every household chore by shooting it. Do you need to fend off attackers and signal a Coast Guard? Well, sure, there's a gun for that. But do you also need to start a fire and then put out that fire? Do you need to kill bugs and rodents? Is your car air freshener not doing its job? 1960s America had yet to find any personal or household problem that couldn't be solved with a gun. Registration card here has 2 addresses on it. We have the original Minneapolis address, which has been kind of redacted, and then we have a P.O. box in Pepin, Wisconsin. From what I've been able to find, this was originally invented, sold, and produced in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1960 or thereabouts. And then about 1961, it moved to Pepin, Wisconsin. And that may have been due to legal reasons. It could have been due to business reasons. It could have just been cheaper to operate from there. Apparently, they moved to a former bowling alley in Pepin, Wisconsin, and they produced this for a few more years. The company was originally known as the Apache Rescue Co., and they were bought by another company called Pepron in 1965. Later on, they switched back to Apache Security Co. The deal with these was kind of the 1960s. It was Cold War era. It was spy, James Bond. People liked gadgets, and this was a cool gadget. And with all this variety of cartridges that you could screw into, it really kind of tickled people's desire for an all-in-one spy gadget. And yeah, that was kind of fun for a while. Now, things started to change legally in the 1970s. Tear gas guns and flare guns that looked like a firearm, that looked like a pistol, became a little more legally complex. So a lot of companies switched over to little pen-style launchers, something that you can still buy today. Anyway, around 1975, the ATF changed the law on these things, and most manufacturers in the US stopped making them. Apparently, tear gas guns are still kind of popular in Europe for self-defense because you can't buy a real gun in most of Europe. Now, that ATF ruling in 1975 did grandfather in the existing models like this, as long as they couldn't fire or be easily modified to fire real live ammunition. They were still perfectly legal to own. You just couldn't manufacture or sell new ones. If you want a tear gas gun these days, about the closest you can get as a civilian is something that shoots pepper balls or paintballs filled with pepper spray. And I actually came across one of those as well, and I showed that in a Patreon video. Okay, I just got a little bit of pepper dust in my face from that, so yeah, not a great idea to fire this if the wind is coming towards you. It looks like the original address on this registration card is 5475 North County Road 18 in Minneapolis. And that would be actually close to the Plymouth airport. So I guess it would make sense that they have a flare gun manufacturer there who would sell to aviation, and they would make something small and lightweight that you could put in your plane. It also kind of makes sense that these were manufactured in the north suburbs because they often show up at auctions and estate sales in the north suburbs of the Twin Cities metro. So I think these were probably sold locally around Plymouth, and yeah, they are still in people's collections. They're still in people's grandparents' basements and attics and whatnot. And yes, you could mail order it elsewhere in the US, but it seems to have been mostly a local product and is not super common, and there's very little information about it out there on the internet. If anybody out there knows more about the Apache Rescue Gun or the Apache Rescue Corporation, I would love to know about it because I'd like to find out more about this funny little thing. And yeah, feel free to leave me a comment if you do know about this or if you've ever used one yourself. Now, I would like to actually test this thing. The tear gas here, this is something I don't really want to test this anywhere that I can breathe it or anyone around me can breathe it, because even though I'm sure this tear gas cartridge was non-lethal back in 1960, everything in 1960 was kind of made of carcinogens. I don't think this is probably very healthy, even if it's supposedly a non-lethal round. Likewise, these mystery cartridges, I'm a little scared of these because they could be almost anything. This is probably a flare, but I don't know for sure. All right, so to give this a real-world test on the flares, we've come out to a nice dark field, and it might actually be too dark because the little on-camera light that I have is having a terrible time keeping up with the scenario, so the focus might be funny. We'll start with white, which is a universally recognized practice flare, and then we will probably also do the green one, which is not a distress signal, it's just basically a firework, so we shouldn't have any authorities coming to try to rescue us here. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Three, two, one. Yay! Green flare test. 3, 2, 1. So we've got Kyle from the Lazy Hunter is going to try one of the mystery cartridges today. So we're going to see what this does, and the wind is behind us. He is going to fire it, so if it does happen to be just DDT or something, it's hopefully going to go downrange. So at your leisure, Kyle.
Have at thee.
Whoa, yeah, we had that problem last night. Give her another shot.
Round 2.
All right, we are trying the second
Round 2.
mystery cartridge because the first one was just a light strike, so. Oh. Man, these mystery ones are no good. Well, that worked reasonably well. The 2 flares that we tried did fire, although one took a couple tries. Again, these are 65-year-old flares. They're not super reliable anymore, if they ever were. This was more of a gimmicky product than a kind of safety-tested Coast Guard-approved product like you get these days. And real Coast Guard products these days all have expiration dates. And I'm sure people are firing up their keyboards with complaints in the comments right now, like, oh no, you wasted $50 worth of vintage collectible flares. Well, you know what? It's more fun to actually use them. It's more fun to go out and do something with these versus just let them sit around forever. And there's not really a good way to sell this. eBay, it's against eBay policies, and arms list and whatnot have become kind of unusable for the general public. So yeah, why not have some fun with the things? And we did take some basic precautions. We didn't start any fires. Nobody got injured, that sort of thing. We did not try the tear gas. I will not be trying the tear gas because I don't know what's in there. I was even a little hesitant to try the mystery ones, although I was pretty sure these were flares, but neither one of the mystery cartridges worked. The primers on these have both been marked. They've both been hit with the firing pin, but the primers did not work. So maybe they were a third-party product. For whatever reason, these did not work. So that's about all I have for the Apache Rescue Gun. Again, if anybody in the comments knows more about this thing, more than I could find on Google Books, on archive.org, on HathiTrust, I basically couldn't find anything on all of my usual research sources because it's kind of obscure. So I'd love to hear more about it. If you know about this, if you know who made it, who invented it, let me know down in the comments. And you know what? If you think I was an idiot for wasting vintage collectible flares, let me know that in the comments too, because that's always engagement and YouTube likes that sort of thing. What YouTube doesn't like is things that look like this and things that sound like the G word, and I don't know if this is going to have monetization issues. If you would like to help support this channel, and especially if you would like to see more stuff like this that might be a little bit questionable for YouTube's content bots, you can head over to Patreon, where I do have a little bit more content of this nature or similar nature. And again, let me know in the comments if you do want to see more things like this, because I come across weird things like this on occasion. Finally, thank you to everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time. 3, 2, 1.